I'm here to tell my story about my granddaughter, Nikko, who we helped raise and who will ever be 21. We got to love Nikko. It may not have been as long as we wished for, but we got to love her. We got to love her sense of humor and hear her laugh. We got to love, actually, her smile and how she would lighten up every room she walked into. She had an ability, she possessed an ability to make people feel loved and heard and valued. We got to love her heart, her enormous heart. Nikko despised bullying. She'd go to the aid of anyone being bullied. Nikko stood 5 foot. She did not care. She would lend her voice to anybody that was found in that situation. Nikko just loved art and painting and drawing. So the next time see that canvas that God has created and you're in awe, you could bet she was sitting right next to him, putting in her touches. We got to love her, and it might not have been for as long as we wanted, but we got to love her. Nikko had just given birth 5 weeks prior to her poisoning. Nikko lived with us with the baby. February 24th, Nikko came home at 7:30 p.m. with the baby from her mom's house, our oldest daughter, and she said, "You're not going to believe what my mom said to me." And I said, "What did your mom say to you, Nikko?" And she said, "Now that I'm a mom, if something happened to me, who would take care of the baby?" Why would she put that out in the universe like that? That's what Nikko said, exactly like that. And I said, "Well, it's adulting, and who would you like to watch the baby? Not it. I will help financially. I will babysit. I will not raise another child. I raised 2 grandchildren plus my 2 daughters, my husband and I." She said, "I would never ask you, Nanny." I said, "Okay, who are you going to ask, your mom?" She said, "No, I'm going to ask Jill, our youngest daughter, who had 2 small children at the time." So it kind of made sense. So I said, "Okay, when are you going to ask her?" She said, "I'm going to ask her Saturday." And this was a Thursday night. I said, "Okay, sounds good." February 25th, 2022, 5 o'clock in the morning, opened my bedroom door, heard the baby crying, seen her door was cracked open, the light was on. Who knew stepping over that threshold was going to change my world, was going to become my new normal? So I figured, okay, I got an hour before I have to get ready for work. I'm going to go make the baby a bottle, give her an hour to stretch out and just do whatever she needed to for the hour. I went in her room, seen her sitting cross-legged on the floor, face down in the baby swing, the baby on her bed, with her phone in the crest of the swing. Walked by, gave her a tap, said, "Nikko, get in bed, you're ice cold. I'm going to take the baby for a little while." Picked up the baby, turned around, and seen the bottom of her little toes with all that purpley blue color. Okay, something wasn't right. So I gave the baby to my husband. I said, "I have to go wake her up. She's sleeping on the bedroom floor. I want her to go in bed." I went in there. I couldn't move her. So I came back in the bedroom. I said, "I have to call 911. She's dead." He put the baby down, ran in her room. There was a little stand that went flying. He started CPR. I dialed 911, put the phone down with him when the lady was doing, press, breathe, the rhythm. I knew she was gone. Her lips were pure white. She was already in heaven. So then, the next thing you know, I'm calling my daughters to tell them to get to the house, that there's something with Nikko. The ambulance is on the way. They arrived, and you got the SBI and the ME and the sheriffs and all these police and detectives, and they're all asking questions that I didn't have answers for. And the detective, you could tell, the detective, puffing his chest out, is like, how do you not know these answers, who her friends are? Well, I'm sorry, she's 21. She's not in school anymore. She's in the working world. She's an adult. I don't need to know other parents right now anymore. So with that said, they came back out and said they found a crushed pill in her room, and it was fentanyl. I never heard of fentanyl in the operating room, but that's it. I never heard of it on the street. I don't know what's going on. So I got to give my granddaughter her last hug through a zipped up, locked up green body bag in the rain. So we get, the phone calls, she did this. We found out through everything that it was a Percocet she purchased from a trusted friend who broke bread at my table. I gave the police officer the person's name that the other person gave me. I was told, stop investigating. It's not your job. Sorry, I'm not investigating. I'm standing in Walmart. I got the phone call with a name. I figured I'd give you the name. Simple as that. So ME report comes back all messed up. They have her, she was dead the box says she was deceased at 5:12 a.m. on February 25th, last known to be alive at 8:30, February 25th. So I called. I said, how could she be dead? I wish it was that true, that she'd be gone in the morning but alive at night. I wish it could happen. It took me a month to get this guy to fix her papers. And like I told him, it's not for me. She's not your person, and I get it. But she has a son that one day will see these papers. These are her last papers of anything of her. I want it done correctly. So we got that done. So it came back that she died of 5.39 nanograms of fentanyl, which is enough to kill one other person. I was still working in an engineering company. I could not understand 5.39 nanograms, no matter how I looked it up, how much I researched it. One of my engineers, Dr. Brandon Kelly, said to me, you'll never see it with your human eye, which I knew. He says, and I needed to do this. I needed to see this. So him and a few other engineers went down in our lab, found our smallest drill bit, drilled a hole by President Abraham Lincoln's nose, did a calculation, came back up to me and said, this is 50 times greater than the amount that was in her body. So I created my visual with that little bit of a story. So that's my story. Nikko was not an addict. Nikko was never in trouble. Nikko was never in rehab. Never had any kind of issues with Nikko, ever. Just having a baby. We don't know who the daddy was. She told us we didn't have to know. I cut the umbilical cord. Nobody came to my house before, during, after birth. Nobody. So the judge did award my daughter, Nikko's mom, my oldest daughter, custody with her husband. So the baby's in the family. So she's got custody forever. He took all the daddy's rights away. It cost us a lot of money to do that, but we did it. So my thing with Nikko, and since her death, is I sit on the Harnett County Drug Task Force for Opioid Awareness. I'm co-chair of Joshua's Army Fights Fentanyl. And I teach all level 1 volunteers for Mama Moses and the Underground Railroad, how to use Narcan. So that's my story. So Mama Moses does a lot for the homeless. She is big in our county. Actually, we go to all different counties. She goes into the woods. There's 2 levels. She does homelessness. We also do toys. She stops evictions. We raise money. She's a nonprofit, but doesn't take money from the government because she doesn't want anybody telling her how to use her money. So it's all private. She stands about 5 foot, and she is the most amazing woman you'll ever meet in your life, ever. Your kid's going to go to a party. I don't care who you are. They're in college. They're going to go to a party sooner or later. They might not like the experience, but they're going to go. They are to take their own stuff. So what I mean by that is that they're bringing their alcohol or their drink of choice or their drug of choice. They bring their own. They don't take anything from anybody else. They don't share. They don't leave it. My other thing would be, you got states that you can buy your legal drugs in. That's where you go to get it. You don't get it off the streets. You can't. You can't trust any of that. My other thing would be is all parents, everybody in the household should have everybody's code to their phones. Have the trust talk. You're not going to use I'm going to give you my code. I'm not going to break into your phone. You're not going to break into mine. I need it just in case. And I wish I had that, because I would have had her last conversation. Yeah, I can get that part off of, AT&T or Verizon, whoever we had at the time. I can get her last phone call. I can't get her text messages. I can't get the pictures off the phone. The cops can't break into her phone, even though there is a person that can do it. Our detectives in our county just can't do it, or won't send the phone to who can do it, because she has all the baby's pictures from when he was in the hospital, So we would like those. I would like to see the last text message also between. But it is what it is right now. I have the phones. We'll see what happens.